The last part of their homework for lesson 3 is writing a number in expanded form. Now for their homework, they have 2 numbers and they're going to write them in 2 ways. I'm going to show you all 4 ways how to write a number. They need to choose 2 of those ways, preferably 2 different ways. So let's show the examples. So our number here is 7 and 362 thousandths. The first way I'm going to do it is I'm going to write it in decimal form. So I have 7 ones plus 3 tenths plus 6 hundredths plus 2 thousandths. So I just separated the digits into their value. And I put a plus sign because I know I'm going to have to combine them to equal my number. And the decimals, I add the zeros for those place values I'm not using. The second way is just like the first, except instead of decimal form, we're going to write it in fraction form. So I have 7 wholes. I have 3 tenths. I have 6 hundredths. And I have 2 thousandths. So this is the number being represented, and this is the place value that we're representing on the bottom. The third way is writing the number times the place value. So my 7 is how many I have, and the place value is the ones place. So I have 7 ones, which is 7 times 1, which is 7. I'm going to put parentheses around this expression and then my add sign. Let's go to the next number. I have 3 tenths. So I'm going to write my 3, because that's how many tenths I have, times my tenths, which I'm going to write as a decimal. My 1 is just a placeholder, because if I multiply 3 times 1, I would still get 3. That's why we don't write a 0, because if we wrote a 0, our answer would be a 0, and we don't want that. Okay. All right, our next value is 6 hundredths. So I have 6 in the hundredths place. So I'm going to represent my hundredths place as 0.01, and I have 6 of them. Lastly, I have 2 thousandths, so I have 2, and they're in the thousandths place. So I'm going to represent my thousandths as a decimal. The last way is the exact same as this, but instead of decimal form, we're going to write it in fraction form. So I'm going to do 7 times 1, because it's a whole number. And now I'm going to do 3 times the tenths place, but I'm going to write it as a fraction, so 1/10. All right, same thing here. I have 6 hundredths, so I'm going to write my hundredths place as 100. And my thousandths place, I'm going to write it as I have 2 1,000ths. Okay. So these are the 4 ways they can write expanded form. I would like them for their homework to choose 2 different ways each time they write. So they all shouldn't look like the first one, or they all shouldn't look like the second one. They need to have 2 different ways. Numbers 3 and 4 are the ones they're more likely to see on a test, so they need to practice how to do these. I'll do one more example of what happens when we have a 0 and a place value. Okay? And I'll show them using, I'll show them in the same methods as before. So the first way, I'm going to write it as 20 plus 5 plus 0.8. And I'm going to skip the 0 because there's nothing in that place. So I'm going to skip and I'm going to go to the thousands place this time. Okay, because when I add them together, I know that that 0 is going to go in the middle. Okay, second way, I'm writing it, but now I'm going to write my decimals as fractions. And again, I'm just skipping the hundredths place because there's no value there. Okay, the third method, I'm multiplying my number times my place value. Okay, I'm going to do it the first way as a decimal. And again, I'm skipping the hundredths place because it's not being represented by a number. Okay. Last way, same as before, except now my decimal is going to be represented as a fraction. Okay. All right. All right. So these are what they're going to be practicing today. If you have any questions, just let me know.